30 million people in China live in underground caves.
Oh.
This is unimportant.
Guaranteed to not change your life. This is the Unimportant Podcast.
Welcome to the Unimportant Podcast. My name is Joe Bob. That is Anthony. 30 million people live in caves.
30 million people in China live in caves.
Interesting.
So you'd think when you hear this, you're like, oh, like sounds like such a bummer and like major poverty, people starving, living in caves.
It's one of
right?
those things where you kind of like forget that not very long ago, China was a third world country.
Yes.
Like it's only been like they've had crazy exponential economic growth,
Right.
which has allowed them to do a lot of crazy economic, like it's allowed them to grow substantially. But it wasn't that long ago that we were cutting them a lot of breaks to make sure that they didn't go under as a country.
Yeah. So these people who live in the caves are nowhere near as poor as you'd think they are.
What kind of caves are we talking?
Some of them are very nice.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So check this out. In this province of China that I'm not going to pronounce because it's just not going to happen. Sorry. So it has like very, I guess, light and porous soil that's good for digging. They call these caves yadong.
Okay.
They like dig them in the side of the mountains, kind of out in like agricultural kind of regions.
Yeah.
But they like decorate them well. Many of them are plumbed, have electricity.
It's just like you live in a house. It's like if we're looking at caves as like a piece of nature, right? Like they're living in the wild. It's like, well, what is a house? You chop down a tree, you put 4 walls up and a roof, and
when you think about it, I mean,
that's not nature. I'm not making that claim by any means. Living in a house is not living in nature.
No, but like I mean, around here, like all the houses are made of concrete. Not most. And so, like, really, you're just taking dirt, creating a cave, and then putting the dirt over there to make a house. They're just saving some labor.
And that, honestly, sounds kind of cool. Like, I would love to live in the Bat Cave.
Yeah. So this guy named Ren Xiaohura, I believe.
Oh, geez. One of those you probably shouldn't have even attempted.
Yeah, I know. He said most of the caves aren't so fancy, but I've seen some really beautiful caves. High ceilings and spacious with a nice yard out front where you can exercise and sit in the sun.
That sounds great. That sounds wonderful.
This guy lived in a cage, but in his 20s moved to... Cave. I can't talk today. He lived in a cage until he was in his mid-20s. Then
you said it again. You said cage again. Apparently this guy was in prison.
He lived in a cave until he was in his 20s and then moved to one of the nearby big cities to go work a city job. He plans on moving back to the cave when he retires.
That's like most, I mean, I would love to live on a farm.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't live on a farm, but that's where I plan on going to. And I know a lot of people that would be like, that's downgrading.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
so.
Just people like, living different ways.
Yeah. He said the caves are cool in the summer and warm in the winter. When I get old, I'd like to go back to my roots.
Interesting.
This other guy who's a 76-year-old who has lived in the caves his entire life said life is easy and comfortable here. I've lived all my life in the caves, and I can't imagine anything different. His has a bed, a fire pit for cooking. It's got electricity.
Wow. How do they get electricity to it? Do they have to run what? Oh, the
electrical wires.
I'm fully aware of that, but usually you don't drill electrical wires through rock. Unless you said it's pretty easily malleable.
Yeah. I think it's
interesting.
I mean, maybe it's kind of like a clay, like a clay kind of like.
So I'm just looking this up right now.
Between.
So in China, there's what, almost 3.4 billion people living there.
No, there isn't.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was like 1 billion.
That's what it says. 2017, 1.386 billion people.
Okay.
But so
you said 3 billion. I'm just trying to.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just trying to figure out
1.3 billion.
I'm just trying to figure out what. Just looking and curious what the percentages of people
a very
that
small
live.
percentage.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. But 30 million people,
that's still a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. That's quite a bit.
So check this out. A basic 1-bedroom cave without plumbing rents for about $30 a month.
Oh, there's rent. Like you can buy these things. This is not just like
these are whole massive communities. Many of them, the cities, cave cities.
Wow.
Some of the nicer caves with 3 bedrooms, multiple bathrooms sell for over $46,000.
Whoa. And that's in China too. That's like
Yeah.
It's things are
$46,000 American dollars.
I'm just saying that's pretty great.
These are like obviously there's some parts of the community that are just too poor to own a regular house. But there are large portions that are nice. I wouldn't say affluent, but normal people that
living
have the
conditions.
option to live anywhere and choose to live in a cave.
I might choose to live in a cave.
More power to them. This is Unimportant.
Thanks for listening to the Unimportant Podcast. If you liked our show, subscribe today or don't. You're an adult, you can make your own decisions.